I'm not writing a script. I'm not changing the voice. I would add audio and upload his audio of 3 minutes long. I'm not redoing it. I'm using his real recording in his real voice, and I'm putting a different picture of Michael there, and I'm attaching it to a different website. That's how you would use add audio.
Okay.
If I want to use Michael's voice and create a brand new script from scratch, right? So that's where I select voice. Okay. And if I haven't done it, if I've done it before, it's here, right? And now I want to add, but now I want to make a Michael voice, right? So I upload that MP3 file of Michael's voice. The only purpose of this is to capture the quality of his voice, not actually the words he says, right? The quality of his voice. So I upload an MP3, could be a minute long, 30 seconds long, and I upload that here, and I title it Michael, and then will appear, and then I'm going to make sure there's no background noise in that video, and that'll appear in my select voice. Now Michael will be right here. So now when it goes select voice, I'm going to choose Michael. That's the way I would choose me, right? Now I've got Michael's voice captured perfectly. Now I'm going to write the script for whatever Michael's going to say. Now I'm going to upload Michael's picture. See the difference between creating a voice from scratch? That's what the select a voice means. And add audio is selecting a finished voice script of somebody. And that's where famous people have it, right? Is that clear?
Yes.
Am I explaining it well? Okay. And if
Yes.
not, it's okay to say no. Just say no. Just so I know, because just because it makes sense to me doesn't mean it has to make sense to you. But I'm saying, but so that every time you start from the beginning with you creating something that doesn't exist, you're going to hit select voice.
Okay.
Okay. And if it's your voice, you only have to do that one time in your life, right? Where it says me. So every time I want to do one with me, my voice will be there. So I don't have to go in and record my voice every single time, right? If I want to create a character, like let's say I want to pretend I have a virtual assistant. Everyone loves virtual assistants now, right? So I'm going to pick a picture of a good-looking guy or a beautiful girl and I'm going to name her. She's going to be Jessica. She's going to be the person who I send out to all my messages. And now I'm going to pick her voice. These are pre-made voices that are all professionally done that you get to choose from. See, it says pre-made. So
Okay.
I can record a voice, or I could choose from a pre-made voice. And then as soon as I do that, that voice will appear. And now I'm going to pick a picture of what I want Jessica to look like. Okay, that's my new Jessica. Okay. And then I write the script, and again, maybe it's my calendar. Maybe I'm using Jessica to say, hey, thank you for your meeting with Gal yesterday. I want you to review the website. If you have any questions, call back, right? You can have an assistant that's great at follow-up for people to go do that. So that's where it makes a lot of sense. So no questions there?
Okay, so we really shouldn't hit the play script. I'll play with it tonight because I got to do an avatar too, actually. So we really shouldn't play script.
No, it's just to hear it before you generate it. That's all, right?
Okay.
I mean, but I'm saying what you do want to hear, what you want to make sure you do, is you want to make sure you hit the AI enhance, right? That's the key, right? Because that what gives your script a little more personality. So you know how so many times people will say, um, "Believe." I can't believe how realistic the face was. She smiled when the script called for it. She moved her hand. That's the AI enhancement that does that. So it doesn't change your words in the script. It's not rewriting your word. It's only giving her face gestures and personalities. And you can override it. Like you see here, it says curious. So AI is saying it's good.
Put yourself on mute, Steve.
Is what you'll go, oh, I wish I could do the ones like Steve does on Tuesday night. Truth is, you can. These are the little touches that make it work. They make it a little more emotional, a little more realistic, a little more pause when you write that whole script. See? Now, if this was a whole script, it would be different, right? I'm supposed to just do that. But it's now their version of a pause is going to be a, Gal, you're the best. Or, hey, Gal, I just want you to know you're the best. Right? So I'm saying, see what I mean? You can put that emotion into it that's a reflection of how you want yourself or your personality to come through. Now, at some point, I've been thinking about it a lot. We will add ChatGPT or whatever it is, so it'll help you more with the script to make you guys easier. As opposed to just enhancing. I think we'll put a script writing in there. So you could literally say, here's my URL, write me a 1-minute script. I mean, just to make things, easier for you. But I always think it's like, I'll say this, Gail, right? It's like when a woman dresses up, right? One of my ex-wives used to say, no one notices the clothes they wear, but women will notice the accessories. Right? They notice the earrings, they notice the shoes, right? They notice the bag, right? That jumps up. It's like the same thing in a script, right? It's like people don't remember all that great writing you did and all those lines, right? They just remember the emotion, the feeling. It's like if you say to people, how did that Michael Jordan video make you feel? How did Jim Rohn make you feel? As opposed to trying to remember a line that he said, right? The reason you want to remember that line is because that line made you feel a certain way, and you may want to make someone else feel that way, right? But we're all not, Tony Robbins and Jim Rohn, right? That line out of context may not have that impact. But I think that's what it's all about, is how good writing makes people feel. And that's where what's so great about this is once you get your own 1-minute video or 1.5-minute video and you get it right, where you feel like I want to send this to everybody because I like the way it represents me, I like the way it represents the company, it calls people to an action. That's when you have marketing magic, and that's why we're going to give you more options, more scripts to help create you do that, and it's like if you notice Santa Claus, right, he's working really hard at coming up with scripts and tones and perspectives to very specific audiences, whether it be the Yankees, whether it be Warren Buffett, right? It's like each one is its own masterpiece, right? Of trying to make them feel a certain way when they get something from him. That's the perfect way to use this product, And like you'll see, part of the theme on tonight's phone call that'll come from our guest speaker, is how hard should you work at being ready for the moment of your own success? It's kind of like some people may take the next 6 months to learn this platform. Some people will take 6 minutes. Some people will take 6 days, right? It's almost, a bit of when you're in charge. Like the one thing about school is they institutionalize us to tell us what we're going to learn, how we're going to learn it, and how long it's going to take. Right? And when you're on your own, right? It's kind of like, well, should it be an hour? Should it be a week? Should I finish my class in 6 months? Right? That's the discipline, right? That you have to say to yourself. So what I'd say to you, is if you meet, the most perfect person in the world that can change your life in this business, change your life, change your business life, change other people's life. The theme tonight is going to be, are you ready? Are you ready to meet that person? Are you ready to meet that person and have pitch be the vehicle? Right? That's the training, in a sense that, so to me, does that mean you have to know the difference between add a voice or select a voice or add a script? Not really.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, does it help to know it? You know why it helps to know it? Because anytime you're prepared to know something, you have confidence. And the person you're speaking to feels, again, making someone feel confident that you're confident sometimes is the best sales technique you can have.
Very true.
Yeah. And that's why, the famous line about it takes 10,000 hours to master a skill. And then your body remembers it no matter what. It's like whether it be golf or shooting free throws or learning a foreign language. If you put your 10,000 hours in, the truth is you have the confidence. It's like, okay, when does the 10,000 hours show up here? Right now we show up for an hour and we get a bit here, we get a bit there. But there's a point. I can tell you those 10,000 hours have come for me in the past couple of months. No doubt about it. You know what I mean? I just want when you think about it, the difference between me and you is not that I'm really better at this. It's just that I put more time in.
Right.
That's all it is. Like I say, I was, just so you know, I was just as afraid to hit those buttons in the beginning as some of you are now.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I'm just not sure. I don't want to get stuck. I don't want to, honest to God, because I'm like you. I've been on Zoom for 5 years, right? Every single day, 10 times a day. Or, worst case scenario, I was on Google Meets, right? And it was kind of like, oh my God, even though I built it, I don't have the confidence of where everything is. It doesn't work exactly the same until these demos. So it's great. But that's what I meant. I always can tell the difference from somebody who asks a question who's living it, especially if you're living it under a pressure and a deadline. So if you put a deadline on yourself that I want to create my own talking photo, my own video, my own marketing campaign by a certain date, your questions have a different sense of urgency, right?
Yeah.
And also at the end, a different, sense of success, right? Just like on tonight's phone call, right? There's only one night a week that the company puts on a show for you, right? We're not putting on a show for me. I'd rather be at the gym. I'd rather have dinner. So the truth is, right, we're doing it for you. Some people take advantage of it, and I appreciate every single person who shows up and your support. It's fantastic, right? But for some people, it's a missed opportunity, right? And for some people, they do leverage it. They do great, but that's entirely up to you. Okay? So, I'm sorry, Gary. I know you had a question.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you might, and I know we're early in the ball game here, but would you shed any light on what you are seeing and where people are having the most success, let's say, with the twin avatars in terms of the videos, how they're using them, what they're using them for, on a follow-up basis, an initial, flush out who's interested, whatever. But are you seeing any pattern there, anything that you've noticed that would be helpful for all of us in terms of, benefiting from what some have done more in one area or another area as to what might be most effective? Or is it, I know it's a little early in the game, obviously, but.
No, I think it's true to, sometimes things are true for different people depending on where they're at in their business, right? So if, let's say, for instance, number one universally across the board, because it has that shock value of something they didn't experience, it's certainly the prospecting. Mm-hmm. It's certainly in the introduction part, right? Because that's of opening up the door to so many different possibilities. So that's number one, right? For the people who have a very large business, the follow-up is critical because it moves the needle, because they have a metrics, right? They have the data, right? So let's say, for instance, I'm with a company like LifeWave and I'm selling nutritional products, and I'm stuck in this routine of I do a Zoom and I invite all of my affiliates to be on the Zoom. I send people to breakout rooms or tell them to get together with the person who followed up. And it takes probably 2 weeks to figure out whether that meeting is successful. And I'm already doing the meeting the next day, and it gets even more confusing, right? Yeah. So for them to maybe use the video to get them to the Zoom first, so they can see in metrics, we increase the numbers just to get people there, right? Yeah. Live and interactive changes the results during the meeting. And then they can tangibly have everyone make a video for the follow-up. Because that 5-minute follow-up versus a 45-minute follow-up is a huge differential. But I always say, like, you can invent the best technology in the world. You can make the best follow-up videos in the world. But if you don't have anyone to send them to, no one to watch, it makes no difference, right? So that's where the most powerful thing is. The bigger the audience, the bigger the success. And I think in our Success Academy, right, we have something there called Sonola, right, the strength in numbers philosophy. And so if it was me personally, I'm sending out as many prospecting videos as possible, and then finding out my rhythm. Yeah. Finding out my rhythm of, is it better for me to send out 1-minute ones? Will I get to talk to them? I don't want to send 1-minute videos, expect they're going to jump on a call with Steve, right? You know, my deal is, like Gary, you know, when you set me up on a demo and you've had a good setup, meeting goes better. Yeah, right. Sure. The meeting goes better. So that's what I meant is if, or like, let's say, for instance, if you even have an alignable meeting, and in between the conversation and the live demo, you send them a 1-minute video as a reminder. Yeah. So, because get them maybe the original conversation was 3 days ago, they may have forgot why they were excited. Right. So sometimes it's good to remind them about, hey, this is the exciting technology, right? And that's where I would probably have a video that would be personal, that says, I know we have a meeting at, coming up today or tomorrow, so that way you don't have to redo it every time, right? Make it generic of when you would send it out. And I'm sending out this reminder, but more importantly that, I'm having you a preview. I'm letting you experience the technology before the meeting. Yeah. And so that's why I'm saying short, brief, and then attach it to a website that could be there, the invite, the Calendly. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Once again, and so that's my point is, wink, wink. I'm sending you a reminder, but the truth is, I want to give you a preview of experiencing the technology even before the meeting, because I know this is why you're going to be so excited. Go ahead, touch the screen. That's what I meant. Is kind of like, I think people show up at a different rate with a different attitude. Yeah. Or like you could say, I know you're expecting to see Zoom on steroids. I know you're expecting to see an interactive webinar platform, but I just want you to know, here's an example of our interactive text platform. Right? Yeah. So there's a lot of ways to get people in that more excited frame of mind. Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Because it's kind of like, to me, it's like a blind date, right? Yeah. You only get that first impression, right? One time, right? And so, if you bring flowers, you're in a much better than if you bring them after. Somehow flowers on the second date doesn't have the same impact, right? Because you probably don't even get a second date if you didn't bring them on the first one, right? Yeah. So anyway, I hope that makes some sense. I was
just trying to see if there was any pattern you've noticed, or that would be helpful just in terms of people understanding maybe a good process, particularly with new technology like this, new innovation, where people don't have anything to measure it against other than maybe a Zoom, and yet they still don't understand what it is until they actually witness it and experience it. And that's why I was wondering if there was any.
That's where the interactive texting to me reframes the entire presentation. Yeah. Because that's when, if you've noticed, I use the terminology, we're a touch point platform. Right. Yeah. And here's an example, right? It's back to that use talk demo. It is like, you don't know I'm demoing you by sending you this text. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
actually experiencing it. And I go, oh, that's so cool.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, all
Well,
right,
yeah,
guys.
it's
Oh,
interesting.
somebody has something to chat. Sorry.
Well, I'll just tell you real quick. I had a guy on, and while I was talking about it, he went to the website, checked it out, and he went, "This is a really whoever did this did a great job on this website." Talking about the pitch website. And just in seeing that while I was talking to him, he was getting more and more excited about it. In fact, you're going to be talking to him tomorrow. But I mean, he said, "This is really well done." He said, "I really like what you guys are doing." And he hadn't even heard the whole, hadn't even gotten halfway into what I was going to share with him. And then we went right to setting up the meeting because he was already on board with it once he saw, as a guy who is in the marketing world and the design of websites, he was
Right.
very impressed. I thought you might like to hear that. That was just really good. Second, foundation for him, really.
It never gets old for me, Gary. I
Yeah,
appreciate it. I do. And you know what I love is I think we could do a much better job now. Now that we understand our own features, we understand the acceptance of it, the use case, the excitement of it.
Sure.
I look forward. I know Alvaro, who's our marketing expert on the call today. I want him to hear this stuff because he's the one that's going to be tasked with the re-messaging from that point of view. And yeah, it's messaging is everything
Oh yeah. Yep.
in that sense, right? I will go back to that example of Herbalife, right? They went from $2 million a month in sales to $90 million a month in sales, and their entire marketing campaign was to wear a button.
Yeah.
Lose weight now, ask me how.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be that sophisticated, right? It's a brilliant message. Is still always short and sweet to the point, and according to Russell Brunson, raises curiosity.
Right.
Right, Mark. So that the website raises curiosity. It's not meant for they to go out there and go, I understand everything, Gary. We don't need to talk. I'm ready to close.
Yeah.
Right? I'm trying to get to that point, right? So what was interesting, I did a meeting. I think I shared it with Rick Amico had set up somebody who owns 50 franchises of a pizza place in Rochester, New York. They spend $50,000 a month on advertising, and their most effective advertising on TV is the 5-second commercials, more than the minute, more than the 30-second, more than the 15 seconds. They get more responses from the 5-second one.
Amazing.
So what does that tell you? The world that we live in, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I meant is for some people, they may just go to us, hey guys, webinars are great, but that's just not my go-to marketing perspective. Great. Well, 185 billion texts are sent a day. You're probably one of them. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk. Right. So,
Yeah.
or again, the emails. So, all right, guys, listen. So we're on for tonight, 9:00 Eastern. If you can come, I do insist that you do bring a margarita glass at least. An umbrella drink, something. Let's not act like we're oblivious that people are out in the world having fun tonight. Okay. Or at least a T-shirt and a flag, something. Okay. All right, guys. Have a great afternoon.
Very good.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay.
Appreciate
All right,
it, Steve. Thank you.
All righty. Bye.